So we are here, the topic for next few days of our discussions will be the stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedic knowledge generally is imparted in the form of stories. It's a narration of what different individuals had gone through, the experiences of different individuals, especially the devotees of the Lord, and the activities of the Lord Himself. Through that we learn, and that's the best way to learn. What one experienced himself, that is the best way to experience and improve ourselves. The perfect examples should be the role model. And in that respect, Bhagavatam is the ultimate conclusion of the Vedic wisdom. In various ways it has been presented. For example, the Vedas have 3 branches called Kanda. Kanda means the branches of a tree. A tree has 3 branches. One is Karma Kanda, or fruitive activities, the Kanda, the branch that deals with fruitive activities. Then Jnana Kanda, the aspect of knowledge. And then finally it goes to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada pointed out, these aspects are actually gradual elevation. Initially, one wants to enjoy in this material nature. That enjoyment aspect has been dealt with in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. And in spite of all the enjoyment, ultimately one realizes that they are suffering. No matter how much we try to enjoy. Here also Karma Kanda section is pointing out, what is actually enjoyment? Enjoyment is getting what we want. Enjoyment or happiness is fulfillment of desire. You desire something, when you get it, how do you feel? Do you feel sad when your desires are fulfilled? And fulfillment of desire causes happiness, and unfulfillment of desires, failure or to fulfill the desires, causes us distress, pain, suffering. So Vedas are giving us the directions how to enjoy. Yeah, you want to enjoy. Tell me how you want to enjoy. You want to enjoy becoming very rich? The Vedas are giving the direction. Okay, do this. You'll get a lot of money. You want to have a big position, you want to be a king, Vedas are saying, fine, go ahead and do this, you'll become a king. But the thing is, one is not satisfied just getting what he wants. His desire keeps on increasing. He becomes a king. Then he wants to become even a greater king. He wants to become a monarch. And he becomes a monarch. Then he wants to become the king of the entire earth planet. Still he is not satisfied. He says, well, earth planet is not good enough. I want to become the king of the heavenly planet. And the Vedas are giving us the process by which we can fulfill all our desires. And that is the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. Therefore, Vedas have been described as a desire tree. There is a tree that can fulfill our desires. Like normal trees give us just fruits. But this Vedic tree, a desire tree, can give us anything. Nigama kalpataru. Nigama means Vedas have been compared to a desire tree. Now, in spite of all your endeavors, ultimately what happens? Do you feel really happy? No. Then one begins to wonder, I'm trying to enjoy in so many ways, but why am I still suffering? Why am I still miserable? So then the Vedas are taking us to the next step, the Jnana-kanda. And these different branches have been dealt with by different aspects of philosophy. There are 6 branches of philosophy called Shad Darshan. The Karmakanda section has been dealt with a branch of philosophy which is called Karma Mimamsa, the conclusion of the karmic theory. Or it is also known as Purva Mimamsa, meaning preliminary conclusion. And what is the preliminary conclusion? Good actions leads to enjoyment, wrong action leads to suffering. So that is dealt with the branch of philosophy called Purva Mimamsa or Karma Mimamsa. Then it transcends that karmic platform and comes to the Jnana platform that deals with 4 branches of philosophy out of 6. And they are Nyaya, logic, Vaisheshika, the atomic theory, that is how this entire creation came about. What is there? What is this creation? And what is the ultimate conclusion? This entire creation is actually a combination of minutest particles called Paramanu, or in English it will be translated as atoms. The whole creation, the way we see, ultimately they are all minute particles, atoms. And then it goes to the next branch of philosophy called Sankhya, or analytical study. The analytical study analyzes the material nature. There are 5 elements, there are 5 senses, and the interaction between the senses and the elements of the material nature give rise to 5 objects of the senses. For example, ears interact with ether, sound is produced. Skin interacts with air, touch is produced. Eyes interact with fire, form is produced. Tongue interacts with water, taste is produced. Nose interacts with earth, and smell is produced. Due to the interaction between the 5 senses, ears, skin, eyes, tongue and touch, the 5 forms, 5 objects of the senses produced their taste, the sound, touch, form, taste and smell. Roop, ras, gandha, shabda, sparsha. So this is how, due to the interaction between the 5 senses with the elements of the material nature, 5 objects of the senses are produced, and then they consider that there are 5 working senses through which a living entity becomes involved in this material nature. They are hands, speech, anus, belly and genitals. So 5 working senses. So 4 5s are 20, then they consider that there are 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence and false ego, 23. Then they consider that the ultimate elements through which the entire material manifestation come about, that is called Mahatattva. With this 24 consideration, they analyze the entire material nature. But then they consider that these 24 are objective in nature, but the object needs the subject to stand. Without the subject, the object cannot stand. So who is the subject? I am the subject. All of us have our eyes, or Atma, or the soul, so that is the subject. And this I couldn't be found anywhere in this 24 consideration. Therefore the I is beyond matter. See how systematically they are coming to higher realizations. So that I is the 25th consideration. I, the spirit soul. And then they consider the spirit souls are minute and many. So anything that is minute and many must have a source. So what is the source of all these souls or Atma? The Supreme Soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way God becomes the 26th consideration. They didn't stop at that. They considered that a part of the whole must have its relationship with the whole. The existence of the part lies in its connection to the whole. The utility of the part is in its link or connection to the whole. For example, this little finger is a part of my body. As long as this finger is connected to the body, the finger is very important. But the moment the finger is severed from the body, then does this finger have any utility? Does it have any value? You throw it away. We throw it away. Similarly, when we, the part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our existence is practically meaningless. Therefore the consideration, how to become connected to the Supreme. And that is the next branch of philosophy known as yoga. Sorry. This yoga has 8 different stages or limbs. Therefore it is called Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means 8 and Anga means limb. So yoga has 8 limbs. What are those 8 limbs of yoga? Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharan and Samadhi. First consideration is in external purification, then the internal purification, then asana, sitting in the body properly to utilize the body, to achieve our goal. Then pranayam, controlling the breathing. And then pratyahar, withdrawal of the senses from the objects of the senses. Then begins dhyan or meditation. When the meditation is fixed, then it is dharan. And when the Lord in the heart is perceived, it is called samadhi. So when one achieves this samadhi, perceives the Lord in the heart, then he automatically surrenders himself unto Him. Because it is a natural tendency of an inferior to surrender himself to the superior. So what to speak of coming across the supreme, not the superior, but the supreme. When a living entity comes across or perceives the supreme personality of Godhead who is situated in his heart, when he sees him face to face, his natural tendency is to surrender unto him. And this surrender then leads to the 6th branch or ultimate branch called devotion to the Lord, bhakti. So that aspect has been dealt with. Another branch of philosophy, the final branch or the 6th branch of philosophy, that is called Uttar Mimamsa or final conclusion. Starting from preliminary conclusion, now it is coming to the final conclusion. And the final conclusion is surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this final conclusion is to is called Uttar Mimamsa or Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta, the end of the Vedas. And this Vedanta has been elaborately explained through Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how we can see Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate conclusion of the Vedas, the ultimate branch of understanding, the ultimate instructions that the Vedas are giving. And other ages, this was a gradual elevation. Gradually one used to elevate. As I said, from Karma Kanda to Jnana Kanda, then come to devotion, bhakti. But we are very fortunate because we have been awarded this directly. We don't really have to go through the gradual elevation. Like for example, one, in order to become a PhD, he has to first go to the primary school, then secondary school, then college, O-level, A-level, university, and then masters, and then he becomes a PhD. But with us what happened, because we are so special, that this PhD has been awarded to us straight away. And that is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recognized as the most munificent. Most munificent. Because he has given us the highest directly to us. Not because we are most qualified, but because we are most unqualified. Because we are absolutely hopeless. That's the advantage of being born in the age of Kali. Other ages, you have to gradually go to that point. But in this age, actually we have been born at a very, very special time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, then Prabhupada came, then distributed Krishna consciousness all over the world, and as a result of that, we are reaping the harvest. We are taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Who could ever think that in an island like Oz we'd be sitting and discuss about Srimad Bhagavatam? It's all due to Srila Prabhupada's causeless mercy. So now the consideration is, let's take full advantage of it. That is what is needed. Like the most precious object has been offered to us. Now we have to learn how to take advantage of it. If we can't, then what's the use? Are you all familiar with an expression, casting pearls in front of a swine? Casting pearls in front of a swine. What does the swine know about? A pig knows about pearls. So, it's important that we recognize the value of the gift that we have received. So that is what Srila Prabhupada's causeless mercy. Srila Prabhupada has given us the most wonderful opportunity to take advantage. And so Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate. That's why it has been described in Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you remember that verse? Nigama kalpataror galitang phalam sukha mukhad amrita drava samjutam pivata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraha rasika bhubi bhavaka. At the beginning, Bhagavatam is being introduced. What Bhagavatam is? Vedas have been compared to a desire tree. Nigama kalpataru. Nigama, the Vedas, is like a desire tree. Golitam phalam. Prabhupada is elaborating that point. The tree that can fulfill all our desires. Can you imagine what the fruit of that tree is going to be like? The tree that can fulfill all our desires, the fruit of that tree is beyond our imagination. And not only that, Galitam, not only phalam, but Galitam phalam, ripened fruit. And then on top of that, the ripened fruit has been blended with the nectar from the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Sukha Mukhad, Amrita Drava Samjutam, has been blended with the nectarian juice. So what a wonderful thing, wonderfully relishable object. Sukha Mukhad, Amrita Drava Samjutam. But in order to relish that, one has to know how to relish. Sukha Mukhad Amrita Drava Samjutam, but then Pivata Bhagavatam. Who drink this Bhagavatam, the nectar of Bhagavatam? Pivata, who drink that? Muhura Rasika, Rasika. Those who know how to relish. Rasa, the word Rasika is coming from Rasa. Rasa means mellow, transcendental mellow. And one who can appreciate that mellow is a Rasika. Muhuraha Rasika. And how do they relish it? Constantly. Muhu. Muhu means constantly. Muhuraha Rasika. Bhuvi Bhavuka. They are the thoughtful individuals in this material nature. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest gift, the most precious spiritual object. But we have to be in a position to appreciate it, to relish it. And Bhagavatam story actually begins in a very nice way in a place called Naimisharanya. The sages assembled. 60,000 sages assembled to perform a year-long sacrifice. Why? Because they could understand the precarious condition of the age of Kali, the distressful condition of the age of Kali, how people will be suffering in this age, how they will drift away from the spiritual life, and as a result of that they will suffer. The only way to enjoy is actually becoming properly situated in a spiritual platform. If we are not, our life will become miserable. Like we are seeing in today's world, there is lots of material prosperity. The people are situated in a situation that few years back people couldn't even imagine. But now there is so much, everything is in abundance, so much comfortable arrangement, such opulent situation everywhere. Even a poor man can afford a car, right? 100 years back, like affording a car was, beyond anyone's imagination. Only very, very rich people could afford it. Just like today, how many can consider a private jet, owning a private jet? So it was about 100 years back, that was the situation. Like, it was beyond anyone's imagination to own a car. But now, practically every family in England owns more than one car. So anyway, so there is so much, the world is today full of abundance. But did they become happy? You can consider yourself the way you were, say 30, 40 years back, and you are today. At least I heard that most of the people think that life was so much better, although there was not so much in our lives. When I was young, I used to get a pair of shoes a year, once every year. Just one pair of shoes a year. On a certain occasion, Durga Puja time in Bengal, we used to get new clothes, new shoes. But nowadays, sometimes I go to some disciples' house and see their children's wardrobe, 40, 50 pairs of shoes. Just one child has. Anyway, it's good for them. But look at what happened to life. Like say, in my young days, women never went out to work. Only some of our cousins worked as a teacher or as a in the university lecturers, but no other women. Those days, secretary and things, at least in my life, it was unheard of, the women secretaries and so forth. The ladies always stayed at home, but today's situation, anyway, I don't want to get into that. And so, because we have drifted away from the spiritual culture and we are living in an intensely materialistic society, things have become very, the things of luxury and pleasure has become abundant, but the life has become miserable. On the other hand, we can see when one takes to spiritual life, what happens? Devotees, in whichever situation they may be in, now that you have become devotees, how do you feel? Do you think that the quality of your life has improved? How many of you think that the quality of your life has improved since you have accepted Krishna consciousness? So there we are. No matter in whatever situation we may be, because we have accepted Krishna, because we have surrendered to the process of devotional service, we are accepting the instructions of the spiritual authorities and leading a life, being surrendered to Krishna, our quality of our life has improved. And most of the devotees, what do they want? They want to withdraw themselves from this miserable, stressful condition and want to retire somewhere in a spiritual atmosphere. I've seen, and many of them are actually doing that. They're getting out of this. Another thing is, if you want to live in the West, or not only in the West, in any city, you have to work to maintain yourself, unless you have inherited a royal opulence, royal inheritance. Like like in Calcutta once I was talking to some devotees, congregation devotees, there were about 250 of them. And so during the question answer session this point came up. Somebody asked me that it becomes so difficult to chant, to complete chanting 16 rounds. And, like he mentioned that, like maintaining a job and, like with all that demand, it's extremely difficult to chant 16 rounds, what to do. So I asked, whatever you earn, how much of the percentage of your income goes to paying your house rent? How much goes to buying your groceries and other amenities? How much goes to the transportation and so forth? And it turned out that practically the money that they earn goes to paying their rent, paying their paying for their amenities and groceries and transport, practically. And then I asked, how many of you came from villages? Many hands went up. When you are in your village, how much you are paying for your house rent? Nothing. When you are paying in the villages, how much you are paying for your transport? Nothing practically. When you're in the villages, how much you're spending for your food and grocery. And then I told them that if you went back to the villages, do you need to earn so much money? So you are living in a city just to pay for your livelihood. Anyway, so this is the thing, like what Kali has done has brought us into the very, very intense situation in the cities, and just to maintain ourselves in the cities we have to work from morning till night. Now if we did not have to do that, then from morning till night how many hours we would have got to chant our rounds? So, and incidentally, I asked how many of you want to go back to the villages, and out of 250 people, I think more than 150 opted for that. Anyway, so the point is, this so-called materialistic advancement, technological and scientific development did not really make the quality of our life better. It has rather made it even more complex. Anyway, so that is not the topic that I want to discuss here. So it was just a side thing. What we actually wanted to discuss is how to take full advantage of this wonderful opportunity that we have. That is the human form of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is pointing that out. Labdha sudur labhamidam bahu sambhavante. After many, many possibilities, that now that you have got this human form of life. And this opportunity is extremely rare, yet it is extremely unpredictable. Any moment, anittam. Although this opportunity is durlabham, very rare, but it is unpredictable and temporary. Any moment we may lose this opportunity. Therefore, Turnam, immediately take advantage of this opportunity. And what is the opportunity? Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't do it blindly. Don't surrender to the Lord blindly. Of course, that also will have its benefit. But the advice is, try to understand who He is. Try to understand who you are in relation to Him. And try to develop your relationship with Him according to that understanding. So the Vedas are giving us this instruction. Bhagavatam is giving us this instruction. Take full advantage of this opportunity. Now, this Bhagavatam is actually giving us the complete understanding. Understanding of who? Bhagavatam is giving us the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Bhagavatam is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Bhagavatam is the body of the Lord. The Bhagavatam has 12 cantos, and these 12 cantos are signifying 12 different limbs of the body of the Lord. The first two cantos, first and second cantos, are the two lotus feet of the Lord. Then third and fourth cantos are the thighs of the Lord. Fifth canto is the abdomen of the Lord, the belly of the Lord. The sixth canto is the chest. Seventh and eighth cantos are His arms. Ninth canto is His neck. 10th canto is his smiling lotus face. And Prabhupada more emphatically pointed out that 10th canto is the rasa dance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, just as we recognize a person by his face, from his hands, from his legs, we don't really recognize him. Of course, the Lord we can see. His lotus feet, only he has lotus feet. But the way we recognize a person by his face, similarly, we recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the 10th canto. There we get to see him as Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, who resides all the time in Vrindavan. And leaving Vrindavan, he never goes anywhere else. Vrindavanam parityajya kutra kadapi na gacchati. He never goes anywhere, even taking a step out of Vrindavan. So that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Ete changsha kala pungsha krishnastu bhagavan swayam. At the beginning, almost at the beginning, in the 3rd canto, it has been pointed out who this Krishna is. The Krishna is the source of all incarnations. He is not an incarnation. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the source of all incarnations. And that Supreme Personality of Godhead has been revealed in Srimad Bhagavatam. If we want to recognize him, if we want to know him, the way to know him is by reading or understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the 11th canto is his forehead. Forehead is the place of knowledge. Therefore, the 11th canto is actually giving us, after his pastimes, we are getting to know him even more clearly through the 11th canto. And 12th canto is his head. So just as a person is, his body has 12 limbs, Krishna's body has these 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Or these 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam comprises Krishna's entire identity. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is so important. And this Srimad Bhagavatam was revealed in a very wonderful way. The Lord himself gave to Lord Brahma at the time of creation. Through 4 verses, Chatushloki. And just as a huge banyan tree is kept within a tiny little seed, similarly, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam was presented in these 4 verses. And then, in the heart of Brahma, that knowledge was revealed. Just as from the seed the entire tree comes out, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam became manifest in the heart of Brahma, which he then imparted to his son, Sukadeva Goswami. Narada. And then Narada gave it to Vasudev, and then Vasudev gave it to Sukadeva Goswami. And then Sukadeva Goswami narrated it to the assembly of sages, where Sutta Goswami was present when Parikshit Maharaj was about to leave this planet. So this Bhagavatam was narrated 2nd time by Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami appeared in this Naimisharanya, where 60,000 sages assembled to perform a year-long sacrifice to ward off the adverse influence of the age of Kali. They thought that just by performing the yajna, they are going to ward off the adverse influence, the bad, evil influence of the age of Kali. But there, Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated. They asked Sutta Goswami to tell them What is the ultimate goal of life? How can all these calamities that this world is going to be facing, and that due to the influence of the age of Kali, how that can be counteracted? And they asked Sutta Goswami to speak because Sutta Goswami they considered was the most qualified person to speak. He had the ultimate knowledge. And Sutta Goswami then started to describe. And this is how Srimad Bhagavatam, the way we get it, became manifest. Through Sutta Goswami reciting Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of the sages in Naimisharanya. And Prabhupada pointed out why they selected Naimisharanya, because Naimisharanya is considered to be the center of the universe. Just as in a wheel there is the hub, and the hub is the center of the universe is Naimisharanya. They thought that performance of this sacrifice will cause the conducive atmosphere, pious and conducive atmosphere which will spread all over. And therefore they selected Naimisharanya. And then Sutta Goswami started to describe what actually happened when Krishna left the planet. The knowledge, it was actually starts off with Vidura meeting Uddhava. Vidura met Uddhava and got to know that Krishna left the planet. Vidura left home. Vidura was the brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, half brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. And Vidura was a very, very upright and outspoken personality. Saintly personalities are very straightforward because they don't have to, their business is to enlighten people, not to entertain people. When we kind of speak in a diplomatic way, so to say, because we want to please others. But does the teacher in a class try to be diplomatic with the students? He is straightforward. He says 2 plus 2 is 4. If some students say, why not 5? The teacher, does he say, well, maybe because you are thinking that, maybe. No, teacher just gives it straight. 2 plus 2 is 4. And so that is the business of a teacher. So saintly personalities are teachers. The preachers are teachers. Of course, the preachers sometimes have to see things, or present things in a way that the other person can digest, not entertain, but digest. Like a doctor, he knows to what degree the medicine should be given. If you give too hard a dose, then the patient might have adverse effect. So that is the business of a teacher. Like he's like a doctor or a preacher. He's like a doctor. He knows to what dose one should digest it. And so Vidura, from the very beginning, he was the advisor to Dhritarashtra. He was kind of secretary of Dhritarashtra, who was blind. And when Duryodhana was born, he could see that this child is going to be the cause of the destruction of the family. So he very straightway, in a very straightforward way, he told his brother, get rid of this child. You have 99 other children, so get rid of this one. Because at the time of his birth, he could see that he was evil personified. But Dhritarashtra, Prabhupada was saying that Dhritarashtra was not only physically blind, he He was spiritually blind also. Therefore he couldn't take that advice. And also for a father it's difficult to take such an advice, get rid of your son just as soon as he was born. So Dhritarashtra could not. Could not accept this very wise instruction of Vidura, his real well-wisher. And then Duryodhana time and time again was indulging in all kinds of evil activities. He became so envious of the his 5 cousins, the 5 sons of Pandu. And then in so many ways he tried to harm them. When they were young, just little boys, he tried to poison Bhima, tried to kill him. Then tried to burn them alive, along with the mother. Then finally, when he became so envious of their prosperity, they were given a piece of land which was totally barren. But due to their presence, that place became the most prosperous and so opulent that Duryodhana could not tolerate that opulence, their prosperity. So in a deceptive game of dice, he not only took away everything from them, humiliated their wife, Draupadi, who was the most beautiful woman of all time. And then they banished them from the kingdom. They took away their kingdom, took away everything, and banished them into the forest for 12 years. And the condition was that after 12 years of banishment, they have to stay incognito for 1 year. And if anybody recognized them, if any one of them, 6 of them, 5 brothers and their wife Draupadi, was recognized, then the term will repeat. Another 12 years of exile and 1 year of staying incognito. And after this term, when they came back, claiming their kingdom, Duryodhana refused to give their kingdom. And his point was that without a battle, I'm not going to give them a piece of land the size of the tip of a needle. And so the war became inevitable. Everyone tried to stop the war, but they wouldn't listen. Bhishma advised, Gandhari advised, Maitri Rishi advised, Vasudev advised. Then finally Krishna himself went with a proposal. Okay, you don't have to give the kingdom back. Just give 5 brothers 5 villages. They'll be happy. Stop this war. At that time Duryodhana actually said, 5 village? I'm not going to give the size of a land, the size of the tip of the needle. Because he was so convinced that he was going to win the war, win the battle. And he thought in this battle he'll kill them all and he will rule over this earth planet totally unhindered with any opposition. At that time, Vidura again told Dhritarashtra, get rid of this son of yours. He's the destroyer of the family. Just as in order to save a village, just in order to save a family, you can sacrifice one member. Just as in order to save a village, you can sacrifice a family, and so forth. Please, in order to save this world, get rid of your son. But at that time, Dhritarashtra didn't have to say anything. Duryodhana became extremely insulting and abusive. He was so abusive, he was insulting him so badly that Vidura just left home. So when the battle of Kurukshetra took place, Vidura was away. And he was on a pilgrimage. He was traveling from one place to another in pilgrimage. And while he was traveling, he came across Uddhava. And from Uddhava he got to know what happened. Krishna left the planet. He was inquiring, they were very close to him, the whole family was very close to him because he was related to them, the Jadus, and he was asking how they are. And he was told that before leaving the planet, Krishna arranged for the Jadus to also leave the planet. And after sending the Jadus back to Vaikuntha, Krishna himself left the planet. And when they got to know, when Yudhishthira Maharaj got to know that Krishna left the planet, when he got the message, he felt, what's the point in living in this world anymore? Krishna has left. So he decided to go on a Mahaprasthan. Mahaprasthan is a way of living one's body just by walking and walking and walking without stopping, without taking any food, without drinking any water. They just walked. Then the other brothers, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul and Sahadev, also wanted to follow Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Draupadi also decided to follow. So 6 of them left the palace after coronating Parikshit Maharaj as the successor, as the ruler of the kingdom. And that is the time Kali Yuga actually began. Krishna left the planet, Yudhishthira Maharaj left, Parikshit Maharaj became the king. When Parikshit Maharaj became the king, Kali entered. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, along with his brothers and wife, Draupadi, started to walk. The first one to fall was Draupadi. Then Sahadev, then Nakul, then Arjun, then Bhim. Bhima actually left his body up in the Badrikashram. And then for Yudhishthira Maharaj, the chariot came from the heavenly planet. Mahabharata says heavenly planet, but actually all 5 brothers went back to Godhead. So when Vidura got to know that Krishna left the planet, he was completely heartbroken. And Vidura also remembering Krishna and what happened to the other family members, he also became extremely heartbroken remembering that. And he also told that Krishna didn't want him to go back. Krishna wanted him to stay. Why Krishna wanted Uddhava to stay? Because Uddhava was left behind to impart this knowledge. So then Vidura wanted to hear from Uddhava. Then please tell me what happened. And why don't you impart the knowledge? What Krishna gave you, the knowledge that Krishna gave you, well, please tell us. But then Uddhava told that actually Krishna assigned Maitreya Rishi to impart the knowledge to you. I am not supposed to give you the knowledge. It was Maitreya Rishi who would give it. And in that respect, Prabhupada said that in a way, Uddhava felt that it would be a transgression of etiquette because Vidura was older than him. Therefore, he was directed to Maitreya Rishi because Maitreya Rishi by age was senior to Vidura. So then he said that Krishna actually wanted him to meet Maitreya Rishi. So then Vidura, while traveling, searching for Maitreya Rishi, he comes to Haridwar, where he meets Maitreya Rishi. And Maitreya Rishi starts to instruct him. And in a way, that is how Bhagavatam begins. So, I'll just briefly discuss, and in 5 minutes, from 12:30, I'll invite questions. I'll leave about half an hour for question answers. One thing I also want to mention that in these classes, in these discussions, please feel free to ask questions, because it is through question answers that we actually understand the topic in a more profound way. Like you will notice, all the Vedic scriptures are actually presented through question answers. Bhagavad Gita, let's start off with Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna asking questions, Krishna is answering. Srimad Bhagavatam, as you have seen, the sages of Naimisharanya asking questions. Actually, Shaunaka Rishi is asking questions and Sutta Goswami answering. Then Parikshit Maharaj asking questions, Sukdev Goswami answering. Vidura asking questions, Maitreya Rishi answering. So it's generally this knowledge is discussed and imparted through question and answers. Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena. Pariprashnena means sincere inquiry. So I want to leave a lot of space, a lot of time for question answer sessions. And please feel free to ask questions. And anyway, so I thought I'll take just 5 minutes to briefly discuss about how this topic starts the discussion. Bhagavatam is considered to be Mahapurana. There are many Puranas, 18 Puranas. Out of them, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the spotless Purana, the most exalted of these 18 Puranas. And this Mahapuran has a symptom. The symptom of a Mahapuran is that it has 10 symptoms. Dashalakshanam. These 10 symptoms are creation, sarga, visarga, sthana, poshanam, utayo, manantara, ishanukatha, mukti, nirodha, ashraya. These are the 10 symptoms. Sarga means creation. Visarga means sub-creation. The creation actually begins with Lord Vishnu. Krishna, in order to create this material nature, manifests himself as Vishnu. Krishna's different incarnations have different purposes and objectives. So his purpose of becoming Vishnu is to create. As Mahavishnu, he lies on the causal ocean. There's an ocean of cause, just as there is an ocean of, we are surrounded by an ocean of salt water. Incidentally, there are 7 oceans. The first one is made of salt water. The second one is made of sugarcane juice, sugar water. The third one is made of liquor, alcohol. The fourth one is of ghee. The fifth one is yogurt. The sixth one is milk. And the seventh one is pure water. So these are the 7 oceans, and there are 7 islands. We are living in an island called Jambudvip. What you know as the Earth planet is actually Jambudvip, surrounded by salt water, ocean. Jambu next is Plaksha, then Shalmali, then Kusha, Kroncha, Shak. So these are So, just as there are saltwater ocean, sugar water ocean and so forth, there is an ocean of cause. Behind every effect there is a cause. So cause is a substance. So there is a causal ocean. And Mahavishnu lies in the causal ocean. And as he breathes, when you breathe underwater, then what do we see? Bubbles are generated. Similarly, when Mahavishnu breathes in the lying in causal ocean, the bubbles are generated out of his breathing, and those bubbles are different universes. Then he enters into each universe and fills up the universe with water generated from his body. And then he lies on that water on a bed of Anantashesha as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then from his navel sprouts one lotus. And in that lotus, the first created being in the universe, Lord Brahma, is situated. And then in each universe, in each single atom, and in the heart of each single living entity, he enters as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu or Super Soul. So this is the Sarga aspect. The creation, the initial creation, then the sub-creation, the Brahma begins to create. So if we consider that Vishnu creates the structure of the universe, then Brahma is the interior decorator. So who actually decorates the house. So that is how Sarga goes into the Visarga aspect. Creation, sub-creation. And then the planetary systems in each universe and so forth. So that is how the Bhagavatam has 10 aspects, 10 symptoms. A Mahapuran must have these 10 symptoms, and only Bhagavatam has these 10 symptoms. We'll discuss about it. Like this is the first aspect of creation going into sub-creation. We'll start discussing from sub-creation in the next session. Thank you all very much.